What if I told you that the very thing you believe is pushing you forward is actually the same thing holding you back? What if I told you that comparison, that silent habit you think keeps you motivated, is quietly draining your confidence, your peace, and your ability to grow? You compare your journey to someone else's highlight reel. You compare your slow progress to someone else's breakthrough moment. You compare your weaknesses to someone else's strengths. And without realizing it, you start to feel smaller, less capable, less worthy. But today, I want to share a story that reveals why comparing yourself is the fastest way to destroy your potential, and how accepting who you are might just be the superpower you've been missing. Stay with me, because this story might finally free you. Arav was a young sculptor, apprenticing in a quiet workshop under a wise old master named Devendra. Arav was skilled, his hands steady, his imagination bright, his heart full of dreams. But he lived with a problem that slowly poisoned everything he touched. Arav constantly compared himself to the other apprentices. There was Rishi, fast, precise, always praised. There was Kabir, creative, bold, admired by everyone. And then there was Arav, good but never the best, talented but never exceptional. At least that's what he believed. While the others sculpted with confidence, Arav worked with a knot in his chest. Every mistake felt heavier, every flaw felt unforgivable, because in his mind, he wasn't sculpting to improve, he was sculpting to catch up. One morning, their master Devendra gathered all the apprentices. "In 1 month," he said, "the Royal Arts Festival will begin. Each of you must create a sculpture that represents who you truly are." The workshop erupted with excitement. Everyone already knew what they wanted to make, except Arav. He didn't know who he was. He only knew who he wasn't. He wasn't as fast as Rishi. He wasn't as original as Kabir. He wasn't as admired as the others. So Arav made a decision that felt safe at the time, but would cost him everything. He decided to imitate. Every day, Arav tried to sculpt like Rishi, but the stone chipped wrong. He tried to sculpt like Kabir, but the shapes looked forced. He tried to sculpt like everyone except himself. Day after day, the workshop became torture. His hands grew tense, his confidence crumbled, his sculpture looked inconsistent and strange, a confused mix of styles that didn't belong together. The more he copied, the more he realized he had no idea who he was anymore. One night, frustrated and ashamed, Arav smashed the half-finished sculpture to the ground, pieces scattered like broken dreams. He fell to his knees and whispered, "I'm nothing. I have no gift of my own." The workshop was silent, except for footsteps behind him. It was Devendra. The old master knelt beside Arav, picked up a broken piece of the sculpture, and examined it carefully. Then he said quietly, "Arav, do you know why you suffer?" Arav shook his head. "It is because you spend your life looking at other people's gifts and ignoring your own." The master reached for Arav's hands. These hands were never meant to sculpt like Rishi, or like Kabir, or like anyone else. They were meant to sculpt like you. Arav blinked through tears. "But what if I'm not good enough?" The old master smiled. "That is the lie comparison tells you. But the truth is simple. Your gift may not be loud, but it is real. And until you honor it, you will always feel like a shadow in someone else's light." Then the master placed the broken piece of stone into Arav's hand. "Start again. This time, not to be better than anyone, but to become the best version of yourself." The next morning, Arav sat before a new block of stone. No imitation, no copying, no fear. He simply carved the way his heart wanted to carve, slow, gentle, detailed, patient. While others sculpted grand shapes, Arav sculpted delicate patterns, tiny, intricate designs that required incredible focus, something no one else in the workshop had the patience or sensitivity to do, something uniquely his. Day by day, the sculpture grew more beautiful. Not dramatic, not flashy, but deeply meaningful, quietly powerful. It wasn't trying to impress, it was trying to express. And for the first time in his life, Arav felt proud not of being the best, but of being himself. When the festival began, the judges moved from sculpture to sculpture, admiring the bold designs. But when they reached Arav's piece, they stopped. They leaned in closer. They whispered to each other. They examined every detail like they were reading a story written in stone. Finally, the head judge said, "This is the work of someone who knows himself." Arav didn't win first place. He didn't need to. He earned something far greater: peace, purpose, identity. So, what do we learn from Arav's story? 1. Comparison kills your gift. The more you look at other people's strength, the more blind you become to your own. 2. You can't become extraordinary by trying to be someone else. Your uniqueness is your power, but comparison makes you forget this. 3. Accept who you are, fully, honestly, and proudly. When you stop copying and start creating from within, your true potential finally rises. And remember, you don't need to be the best. You just need to be you. No one else in the world can do that better.